So we must do two things, two great things together to encompass that enormous new view that lies before us, but to encompass it within the framework of science, to see it within the whole categorical framework of science, and to see that these two are not separate, but that they are wedded. The bigness of the idea, the newness of the idea, the greatness of it is one with the structure of science, the structure of being itself. So something is restructuring the whole basis within the matrix, a whole basis of the Word, the Christ, Christianity, and science. You see, that which life, truth, and love is impelling upon us as the level of Christian Science, at the level of Christian Science. It's really consciousness. It's all going on in and as consciousness, that being impelled upon us is a great fourfold basis. It's being impelled on us by life, truth, and love. And then something in being is taking that basis and restructuring it. Restructuring the basis of the Word, restructuring the basis of the Christ, of Christianity, and of science. How is it restructuring? Through the law of truth, life, and love, which takes the ideal of that basis as the ideal truth and can individualize it through life to bring out the perfectly adapted forms that basis is capable of producing. You hear that? You hear? So the Christ the Word as the Christ we saw was soul, principle, life, as though to take mind, spirit, and soul and say, yes, if you have that as your basis of the self-declaration of the Word, and you identify that with principle, or you see that that is the identity of the principle, that identity of mind, spirit, and soul is principle, that mind, spirit, and soul is principle, this is an identity thing. You touch the operation of the whole question. Something begins to operate. Yeah, something begins to operate. Let me return the hypothesis to the screen. Sorry. Now see, we're here. Christ is the Word. That principle operates, and it operates dynamically as life. That basis expresses itself. It expresses itself as bringing out its own individuality, the individuality of life. It's the individualizing here in the Christ, the individualizing. If something is being individualized, you have the individualities of that individuality, and we had that creative basis of mind, spirit, and soul as the creative basis that's going to really bring forth the one infinite individuality of that one life in divine science. And is doing that through the Christ now, the horizontal of the Christ, that principle really is that which individualizes itself. You know, in the synonym class, how we say that life is the infinite individualizing of the principle. Yeah. And so you feel that there is that law of truth, life, and love that is individualizing. If we look at the Christ as the Christ, truth, love, soul, spirit, right? Again, you had the calculating of the essentials, the taking of the essentials, the essential nature of the Godhead that we had in Christ as Word, principle, life, truth, and love. The essential values of the Christ as the Word, that the Christ as the Christ takes that, and takes that as its ideal, as that which it is going to calculate and restructure and reorganize. You have to hear that that's the same thing as to individualize that, you see. And as love is adapting that, it's going to adapt that. Whenever you have the adaptation of something, you have the ability of it to be the solution. There's no solution without love. There's no solution without that adaptation. It has with it that saving sense, that solving sense. And soul translates that in such a way that it comes in a certain language, an exactly right language. The right language is being selected. The adapted language is being selected, and nothing is lost in that language. And Spirit says that is, that's I, Spirit, am the Christ, the selection principle. The Christ needs Spirit in order to be the selection principle, in order to order everything, to put infinite order into that basis. You see, to see the infinite possibilities within that basis of principle, life, truth, love. The Christ as the Christ does that. By diversifying that, classifying that, individualizing that. Think of it. The one life, truth, and love is infinitely diversified, infinitely classified, infinitely individualized by Spirit. This belongs to the selection principle of the Christ. And then we go to Christianity. Christianity as the Christ, Spirit, life, truth. Again, now taking the whole basis that has within it the impulsion of self-expression, the drive to express itself, the goal-directedness within it, that is all moving, is all, it's in the basis. The drive, the course or the logic of it, and the goal is in the basis. Everything's in the basis. And the Christ, truth, life, and love now takes that and begins to unfold it, begins to individualize all the possibilities that are in that basis. So with Spirit, life, and truth, we see that Spirit is falling back on the conclusion of the element that we had in Christianity as the Word, which was principle, mind, soul, spirit, that realm is a realm of reflection, where every idea reflects itself and its principle and every other idea. And the Christ says, all right, let me take that now and let me show you that that is a dynamic realm. That's a dynamic realm, and I put the dynamic in it. I accentuate the dynamic that is within it, so that you see that that's not a static realm, but that it has infinite possibilities, infinite reflections within the realm of reflection. It's possible to reflect the realm of reflections, the realm of reflection in infinite reflections. To infinitely reflect on the realm of reflection. To bring out the realm of reflection in its infinite possibilities of reflecting on itself. Does any of that, see? So you get from the one basis the many, many specifics that are possible of seeing that realm of reflection. Truth, life, and love does that. And finally, to the standpoint of science as the Christ, to the calculus, the divine infinite calculus, that actually that's what the calculus is doing too. It is taking that which is in the basis of the self-interpretation of God, that which is the basis of the self-interpretation of God, that those elements or fundamental values or numerals of infinity, takes the same numerals and through relating them properly by reflection through the calculus of the Christ, is able to bring out the many, many possibilities within that basis. But individual, specific possibilities of that basis. It's able to specify the basis, to individualize the basis, to calculate and recalculate. You hear if you have a calculating, it's taking that which you have and re-relating it, so that in science we see that that's what the divine infinite calculus is doing now, and we will doubtless awake more and more to that fact that the numerals now have become for us capitalized terms, and that the Christ will show us that there is no end to the specific relationships that those capitalized terms have to each other.